Welcome to Dad's Dishes. You know, they say bread is like the sun. It rises in the yeast and sets in the waste. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Be sure to tip your waiters and waitresses, everybody. But seriously, we all love bread. But even healthy bread with whole wheat flour has a lot of carbs. What if I could tell you there's a low carb bread alternative that's vegan, gluten free, super healthy, and can help fight cancer? We are going to try today making a flax bread. And as you can see, there are very few ingredients. So this is a very healthy, unprocessed food. All we have is flax seeds. You can use brown or golden. Some salt, baking powder, baking soda, apple cider vinegar, and water. That's it. That's all there is to this. As far as equipment, you'll need a bread loaf, or not entirely necessary. You can do a free-form shape if you like. You'll need a spice grinder, or ideally a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, to chop up and crush up the flax seeds into a flour-like substance, and also a sifter to help get out any large pieces of the seeds that were not chopped up well enough for the dough. So with that, let's get started. We're going to need about 2 1/3 cups of ground flax, and that's going to be just under about 2 cups when it's not ground, and it'll fluff up once you grind it. So I haven't ground a large amount before, so I'm going to start with just a cup and see how this goes. My trusty assistant here is going to help with the grinding.
And also, while you're watching this video, you should definitely subscribe.
Thanks for the reminder to our viewers. And we're going to turn our oven on and turn the temperature to just under 375 degrees.
And that should be like right about here.
Excellent.
On your oven.
Here you can see our first cup of ground flax. It's very light and floury. The pulsing we tried initially, as you could see, did not work. We had to run the motor continuously. I was running it on about speed 4 on a Vitamix. And you have to watch it. You can't let it go forever because it was starting to clump up pretty solidly at the bottom of the blender. And I had to use the tamper while it was running to kind of loosen it up a little bit. Step is to sift the ground flax using a sifter. This will get out any pieces that did not quite get ground up fine enough. So go ahead, trusty assistant.
Okay,
pull
let's
it over
go.
the bowl.
It is literally just going out one by one. I'm going to use my other hand.
So you might need a grown-up to help with this because you actually need to go pretty fast in order to get it to come out. So here's what's left after the sifting, sort of the larger pieces. Some of it was clumps, and I broke up as many clumps as I could, but some of them are just larger pieces which are not going to go through the sifter. So we had an idea to save this to put kind of on top of the bread as a sort of crunchy topping. So we'll see how that goes.
And this is also what it looks like when it's done. Nice and soft.
All our flour, our flaxseed flour. Now we're going to add 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and a ½ teaspoon of salt. Technically, if you want this to be gluten-free, look for a gluten-free baking powder. I am not using gluten-free baking powder. Go ahead, trusty assistant. Add
Hey.
those to the bowl.
Oh, that's okay. It wasn't very much. That just got out.
And now we're going to whisk this together so that the baking soda and baking powder are well distributed. Go ahead, Malcolm.
Okay.
Whisk it together. The reason we're doing this is because once this apple cider vinegar hits the bread, it's going to react with the baking powder and baking soda and start a reaction which will help the bread rise. So we want to make sure it is evenly distributed in the dough. We've got some parchment paper we're going to unroll and put into our pan to help us get it out of the pan easier when it's done. Take it away, trusty assistant. Okay, next we're going to add 1 cup of water. This should be warm to hot water, and then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to stir it up. We're not going to want to handle this dough as little as possible and work fairly quickly because, like I said, the cider is going to react with the baking soda and start fizzing. You can see it fizzing already there. It's going to start creating that rising reaction. So I'm going to get this dough moistened up and into the pan and then right into the oven. Into the oven it goes. Now the rest of your not as well ground seeds that didn't get sifted out, don't throw them out. You can still use them. They're still perfectly good and healthy for you. They make a great salad topping, or save them, put them in your next smoothie. Bread after baking. Using the brown flax seeds, you can see the bread kind of turned a darker brown color during baking. And unfortunately, I did not get any rise out of my loaf at all. So hopefully it'll still taste good. It's been cooling for about 10 minutes in the pan, then I took it out. And now resist the urge to eat warm bread. Let it cool completely before slicing. So as you can see, my bread isn't so pretty. While it's not supposed to be a bread that has much rise to begin with, the top of mine actually sank. I can't determine what I did wrong. I moved quickly after adding the vinegar. I was using warm water. I don't know. I guess I'll just have to try again. When I used the brown flax seeds, the taste was very hearty and satisfying, kind of like a denser rye bread. I'd be curious to taste the difference if I used the golden flax seeds. Now some of you may ask, it can't possibly taste like regular bread that's been risen with yeast and uses wheat flour. No, of course not. It will never be an equivalent substitute. But when I compare this bread to the one gluten-free bread I have had that used gluten-free flour, I definitely prefer the flax bread. So let's review, class. Why is this healthy? It's low carb. It's only 5 grams of carbs total per slice. After you subtract out 3 grams of fiber, that's 2 grams net carbs per slice. I hate to sound like a broken record, but you've heard this in some of my other videos where we use flax. Flax is loaded with fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and tons of cancer-fighting lignans. Bread that fights cancer, yum. Thanks to nutritionrefined.com for the original recipe, and also look in the description below for a link to the Dad Jokes ad for Android.
I have some steps for you. 1. Like this video. 2. Subscribe to Dad's Dishes by clicking the Dad button or the red subscribe button down below. And 3. Share this video with everyone you know.
And give us your comments and feedback. Is there something you want to see us make on Dad's Dishes? If so, let us know in the comments below.